Discover Help presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
This is Stress-Free Living. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Ray Samich, and I'd like to welcome you today to our program. And also, my first responsibility is my favorite one, and that is introducing all of you to my longtime radio co-host and colleague, Ratanjit Sandhi. Ratanjit, how are you today?
Wonderful, Ray. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. And kind of caught us off guard because even before the show here today, we were talking with our wonderful Zoom audience, and we'll tell you a little bit later about how you can join us on a regular basis if you would like to. Ratanjit, topic today that I'd like to share with you is I've just been noticing more and more in my own life and in my own relationships that people used to be able to disagree on any topic and they would still be friends. They would still be able to say, okay, let's agree to disagree and just put it aside and have a drink together, or, forget that and enjoy their dinner that they're sharing or whatever it might be. Today, more than ever, it seems that when we have a disagreement with somebody, whether it's political or religious, or whether it's just about our responsibilities of life and how we view things, we feel threatened to the point by somebody disagreeing with us that we can't even tolerate being with them. We can't agree to disagree. We take our own position, we move our own ways, and in the process, then we lose a lot of our relationships. Family members are fighting, parents and children are fighting over being in disagreement. Longtime friends, 30, 40-year relationships are parting. Why has it come to that today? Why today more than ever can't we simply accept that we think differently than somebody else, and that's okay, as opposed to being threatened in some way by people who disagree with us?
Fundamentally, we human beings are always insecure. And when we tie our security to things and beliefs, they become our crutches. And somebody challenges those crutches, which are our pseudo security, we are threatened. It's like you are standing on a high place and somebody is taking the ground out of you and you're going to fall. Mm-hmm. You become very insecure. So fundamentally, we have to realize we human beings are basically insecure. Born insecure. We tie our security as a child to our parents, and when we grow up, we tie our security to our education, to our title, to our possessions, to our spouse, to our society, to our nation, to our so many things. And more and more we realize we find our pseudo security in things. And then in the process, we accumulate certain belief system, which somebody has told us or whatever, or we have heard from news, or we have heard from our leader, and they also become our pseudo security. So anybody who challenges those pseudo securities, we are threatened fundamentally. we have never become a real student of learning, exploring. Fundamentally, no matter how much you learn, you will only realize there is more to learn. And more you learn and more you realize how little you know. So the less you know, the little knowledge you have becomes your pseudo security.
Ratanjit, when I was a much younger person, I felt that when I was younger and the people around me were younger, we were much less likely to become set in our stubbornness, that we were much more open to the fact that we didn't know a lot and we weren't wise through age and experience yet. So we were very open-minded. I at least was, and my friends and family that I was with a lot were open-minded to saying, hey, I've got a lot to learn. I've got a lot to see. So I really am going to find out all of these different belief systems and different theories and different knowledge and be open to it. I noticed at that age that older people like me now were more set in their ways, were more stubborn. You know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. They were like, no, this is the way it is. And you know, I've learned it all, I know it all, and this is what is the right way to do it. But it seemed that the youth, younger people, from my experience, were much more open-minded. Today, it just strikes me that nobody is open-minded. Everybody today is so set in their belief system that they don't entertain any other thoughts. It's a rarity for even someone to be open to this radio show where they kind of explore different ideas and different, you know, thoughts and possibilities. Why do you think that's changed? Why do you think we've become so much more set in our ways? Even, you know, I know some teenagers, I mean, really young people that already won't change their attitude about what they believe in. I mean, they already think they kind of know it all and that they're not open to any additional change, let alone the 20s, 30s years when, you know, those are such important years in terms of learning what life is about. Do you see that trend too, or do you think I'm a little crazy here in terms of even bringing this up?
Let's dissect this. It's a great thought. You know, when you go back 50 years or 60 years, there are no internet, there are no Google. And you basically learn things either through books or through school. So when you are enrolled in school as a student, you knew mindset, you are going to learn more. The
Right.
reverse of that is that I know less. So your mind is a little open to new things. Now, fast forward today, a young 14-year, 13-year-old kid has access to Google.
It's true.
So they check the things you're told in school, and many times you find conflicting things. So once you find one or two conflicting things, your faith is shaken in the conventional education and your teachers. So suddenly, based on what you want out of life, whether you are driven by money, fame, or what are your insecurity, and whatever feeds your insecurity, that's what you gravitate towards. That's what your belief system becomes. It's not based on the facts. It's not based on confirmation of the facts, because you basically are driven. You were driven by insecurity even in 50 years ago, but you knew that you are insecure. But now, because of the pseudo security, you falsely believe that you are secured. Right?
You know, I cannot disagree with you at all. I think the advent of all of this wealth of supposed facts and information is a big part of this change. And the fact that we know, and you have all different statistics, I've read them all. That this kind of verifies the insanity of it. That even the information you're getting about this can't be trusted. But I mean, anywhere from 40 to 70% of the data that's on the internet is false, depending on which page you get that number from. I personally think it's more like the 70%. I really do think that there's just so much incorrect information that's put out there now that sadly can justify just about any position that anybody has. It validates, you know, the craziest theories, the craziest ideas, and you can find all kinds of validation for that on the internet, which doesn't really mean anything except the fact that it's out there to be seen and to be read. But the belief system, then maybe that's what we're really going to be talking about today. The belief system that we used to have 50 years ago, as you had alluded to earlier, was basically taught by our parents, because that was our families were our biggest source of influence in shaping that belief system. And then there was some from our church, whatever that church might be. And then there was some from our education. And what we learned in school, what we heard in church, what we lived with our families, for the most part, shaped our belief system. Are we really saying that maybe our belief system in the 21st century is based on what we Google on the internet?
You know, even in that belief system you talked about, your parents and your church or your religion and your neighbors, your friends, they give information and they give you, and then you went to school. Now, the formal education is supposed to be vested in already confirmed facts. That's why education was given the higher importance. Because some of the things you learn from your parents and your church may not be the full truth. And so that is why educated people were respected. Suddenly, today's time, look at this US, which is supposed to be the richest country on earth. The ratio of educated people is very low. Maybe what if I don't remember the facts, there are less than 17, 16 people who have ever got a degree of the total population. So we are dealing with basically uneducated, illiterate people who have somehow, basically we are all insecure. To validate, to find the security, they have found the pseudo facts which they've started believing in. And because their whole structure is based on, their stability is based on the facts they believe in their mind. So anybody who challenges those facts, they become very upset. So basically, we are dealing with a society who has pseudo-truths, incorrect truths. They don't have the facts. And they have those erroneous numbers in their mind with their debating and confronting and shouting and screaming and fighting on because I'm right, you're wrong. Basically, they are not interested in finding the truth. They are only interested in validating their lies, their untruths. Ray?
I think this makes a lot of sense. This explains a lot, but it doesn't explain why that 15-year-old is not willing to think that there could be alternative thought processes. That why do they think they are absolutely right at that age? Why? I think, everything you said is right, makes perfect sense with the changes of the times, and our sources for validation and everything has changed. And the education system, you've even written a book on sins of education. The education system has let us down in terms of, exactly how it's teaching and what it's teaching and everything there. So we can understand this, but the part that I don't understand is the unwillingness of younger people to even entertain that they're not always going to be right, that they don't have enough experience, data, wisdom to be able to be open-minded to say that, I'm going to learn more. My opinion might change from the way I feel right now. I mean, I used to, a 15-year-old is a kid. It's an absolute, in its infancy, in their infancy of understanding the world. And yet, by the time we're 21 today, we think that we know everything.
What happened?
Why is that?
What happened is, knowingly or unknowingly, the society has changed the definition of success. If you go back 100 years or 70 years back, a person's success is validated by their character. And today, it doesn't matter whether you cheated and filed bankruptcy 5 times, 6 times, 20 times. As long as you have money, you are called successful. Whether your character is low, you are okay. And as a child growing up, we are telling them, become successful. And then we are giving the child the definition of success being owning money, wealthy. We are not telling them knowledge is success. We are not telling them character is success, values are success. We are basically maybe they follow what their parents do. In spite of many parents tell them the values are important, but they don't follow the values themselves. A child copies the habits of the parents rather than the lecture they give. So right from child who's 13, 14, 15 years, they are looking for success, how to make money. And education is not necessarily making money. And then our politicians are telling them, you can make more money without going to college, without going to universities. And they win elections by propagating that you don't need money, you don't need education, you basically make money by using this or that. And as a consequence, we are creating a generation of illiterate literates.
Illiterate literates?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, there is a phenomenon right now which I just don't understand, and that is some of these people that have become incredibly wealthy and famous, popular by being a quote influencer. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that phenomenon, but they are people that, if you really look at them, they don't have excellent talents. They're not athletic, they're not musically inclined, they're not writing inclined, they're not brilliant of mind. You look at them and you say, I don't understand what is causing them to be extremely popular, but somehow or other they have found kind of the trick of creating videos or segments and putting them onto the internet, where they are now just getting millions and millions of people following them. And then they turn that into revenue by associating themselves with sponsors and things. And I've actually been with young people because of my background in the media, and that's kind of a variation of the media industry, where they've said, how do you become an influencer? I mean, they've looked at this as being the dream job that anybody can have to become extremely famous, well-known, and to use your word, successful, as almost a trick, as almost a cheating the system, because they don't have to go to school, they don't have to become good at anything, they don't have to have special skills, they can just become very, very successful by being an influencer. And I just, maybe it's my old age coming out in me, but I just don't understand how that's even exists, how that path to success is even existing right now. Maybe you can give me your thoughts on that. We're going to take a break, and then maybe you can tell me why influencers are so predominant today as almost being the dream job for some young people that want to get into that. We're talking today about disagreements, and it's opened the doors to a whole lot of other thoughts and conversations about why we have insecurities in our life and what we're all really looking for happiness. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we've got 90 seconds, everybody. Welcome to those that have come in once we started. Any thoughts on what we're sharing today? Like your hat, Reka, but we can't hear you.
No, it's interesting topic, especially, I mean, we just launched a program for teenagers at our school. So we're running this new program all of a sudden as of September for 13 and 14-year-olds. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons that I've seen right now, is that these kids come with this kind of sense of entitlement. And so I'm very curious to know how we could break that sense of entitlement. So we're listening closely.
Very good. Thanks. Anybody else have a quick thought or question for Ratanjit? All right. Entitlement. We didn't, I don't know how that necessarily fits in, Ratanjit, with, I guess it does. If they think they know it all, do they think they deserve more entitlement?
Yeah.
Is that connected to this? We'll have to ask that question. Last call. Anybody else have a thought?
remember the last year you said?
My last question,
Yeah,
influencers.
yeah.
Why is that looked at as a, why is that today's phenomenon? You know who I'm talking about, right? You've seen that? Okay, we're coming back. We're back on Stress Free Living. Ray Samich and Ratanjit Sandhi with you today, talking about disagreements, why we used to be able to disagree with others without any concern that that would affect our relationship. And today it seems to be just the opposite. Disagreements are taken so seriously that in many cases they are really destroying family relationships and friendships and preventing us from having new friendships with people that we immediately disagree with. That has gotten us over to the thought about what we're secure in, what our thought processes are in our life, and why some things are threatening to us beyond just disagreements. Ratanjit, my last question before we came back, before we went to break, was about this phenomenon of how we're idolizing influencers. We are looking at them as the ultimate success because somehow they figured out a way to beat the system. They don't have incredible gifts and talents, but they're becoming extremely popular on a global basis. What do you think that phenomenon is all about? Is that short-lived, or is that the way we're going to look at, are the most successful people in the world going to be the biggest internet influencers?
Basically, if you have a customer, you for your product, for your things, you can sell them. Basically, everybody is part in a mode of becoming rich quick.
Yeah.
And education system says, oh, you have to go to college for 2 years or 4 years or 5 years. Oh my goodness, I don't have that kind of time. If somebody meets you and say, I can tell you how to become rich in one month, they got your attention. Now, if what they suggested gives you some kind of appeal, some possibility, and with which they endorse it, I have done it. This is what I use, and this person has done it. This person has done it. So they validate that thing that you are willing to try. And if you are not successful, and they go back to that person and say, I'm not getting it. So no, you are not making your total commitment to it, because it's a commitment. So you can always find fault in their procedure. And as a consequence, if you want to become a guru, and you want to have followers. So supposing if you have 20 people show up somehow, and they ask a question, whether I'm going to win this case in the lawsuit, or if I'm going to have a son or daughter, I want a child, or I want to have a job. So only two possibilities: either they are going to have a son, or they are going to have a child, or no, or they are going to win in a case lawsuit, or no. So this guru, whatever answer that guru gives them, the chances of that being true is 50%.
Right.
Right? Out of 20 people, if 10 are receiving the correct result. They became follower of him. They advocate that, they bring another 2 people with them. So now the crowd becomes 100 people. Out of 150 people, whatever that guru told them becomes right. So this is how all these gurus are making money and becoming popular. You see them, tons of them in India. Many of them finally found that they're conducting robbery and conducting rapes and conducting all kinds of illegal things, and they're put into jail. But this is all, we become a customer because of our insecurity, because of our desire to become rich quick, because of all these things. Look at this. In 1918, the cyber crime in this world was $600 billion.
What year was this? What year?
2018.
2018. Okay.
Sorry.
2018. Got it.
And in 2021, it became $6 trillion. From $6 billion to $6 trillion. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. And now they are projecting in 26 to be $20 trillion. Almost the GDP of the richest country. This is all because of the greed. People are falling victim because somebody is selling them highly sophisticated way that you can become rich. There are so many people who give their saving, life saving, in order to become rich. This is all vested in our insecurity, in our greed. And there are no shortcuts. Until you add value, if you produce a valuable good, it is going to have sustainability in the marketplace. You will have a sustainable, successful business, right?
So there seems to be 2 issues here with our insecurity. One is what our path is to become secure. But the other one is, what does security really mean? What is the security that we're looking for? So it seems to be a double problem. Okay, we don't even know what's going to give us security. And then secondly, we don't know how we're going to get it. And if we don't know what it is, then we will never figure out how to get it. So that first question seems to be the more important one. Are we, after the first half of the show, are we suggesting that maybe for especially younger people coming up, they're thinking the security that they're looking for is only in popularity, it's only in financial rewards, that they will only be secure if they are an influencer or if they have $100 million in the bank, and anything short of that is going to give them insecurity? Do you think that that's where we've gotten? I mean, the security used to be a personal thing. I thought it was, doing what was right for me on a personal basis. And maybe it wasn't financial. Maybe it wasn't popularity. I don't need to have popularity. I don't need to have millions of dollars. I'm just content for me to have a nice life, have people around me that I love and that love me, and I live my life doing working, but also playing and having fun and going places and doing things. That was my security. It was my fulfillment. I didn't need to be the most popular. I didn't need to have the most money. I didn't need to have the fame. Have we distorted our younger people in terms of what their understanding of what security really means to them?
There's an old saying that apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Our parents systematically, as the generation goes by, became more and more financial vested success oriented. And that's the message they gave to their youngsters to become more successful, because that to them would give them happiness. Basically, there are two kinds of happiness. One is experienced by our five senses. What tastes good, what looks good, what sounds good, what, all that ego-oriented. And that has very small window. If you are hungry, you are in pain. Somebody gave you gourmet food, so you're happy. But if you keep on eating that food, you will have stomachache and you can even fall sick and die. So five senses pleasure has limited window of enjoying. So there is another happiness which comes from satisfying your soul, your real you. That only is available to us when we do something for others. So when we make our children or in early stage experience that joy of helping others, we direct them into different direction in a path of continuously experiencing that happiness which comes from making a difference. So once they are on the path of making a difference, their capability or their capacity of making a difference is directly proportional to the knowledge and the skills they have. So in order to enhance that capabilities, we mentally equip them to gain more knowledge. So may we make them a lifelong student of learning rather than having their knowledge and possession being their security. So we change the course right from the beginning, and we will have human beings which are motivated to make a difference. When they make a difference, byproduct of your capability of making a difference is that you will get higher wealth and you will get higher fame and you will get higher respect. Ray?
So that all makes sense. That all makes a tremendous amount of sense. One of our wonderful Zoom guests said that they were experiencing and working with a lot of these same young people a sense of entitlement. And I know we all are confronting that situation in our life more than ever. But again, at such a young age, we call them children, we know they're children of age, but I mean, They're children in terms of their infancy of understanding life. And yet they already have this entitlement. Where does that fit into this? How does that come in with this reality of insecurity? And yet you would think with the insecurity, they would feel less entitled. You would think that they would feel undeserving and uncertain, and therefore kind of not entitled to anything. And yet it's just the opposite. How do you explain that one?
When you replace, you have to satisfy your insecurity, right? So you
Yeah.
latch on to what you call as pseudo securities. Pseudo securities, somehow, if you have higher ego, I am better than other. That is pseudo security. I am entitled to these things. That is pseudo security. And those are habits given to a child at the early age, again by their parents. If we struggle through life, and now we achieved a successful business. So, or when we have blessed with a child, our thinking is, I struggle through. I'll not have my child struggle through. Really, I want to give that child everything, which I did not have. Consequently, you implanted in them entitlement. We are designed to go through difficult time. To have good health, we have to do exercise, which is painful. To have success, you have to go through education, learning, which is painful. And when we are looking for shortcuts and we give our children a path of no struggle, we are doing injustice to them. It is only by struggling that you mature. It is only by experiencing difficulty you have the capability of handling difficulties. So it is a byproduct of a generation who have acquired wealth, and when their children are given everything without even asking, without even deserving, we infuse entitlement into their mindset. Right?
Oh, that really makes tremendous sense. You know, we talked earlier about instant gratification, about shortcuts. I mean, it seems like everybody is looking for that. Nobody has patience for what it takes to do things the right way. And I guess in some ways, maybe the parents are also thinking that I'm going to shortcut it. I'm going to shortcut the process for my kids. I'm going to, eliminate the struggles, eliminate the hassles. I'm just going to teach them how they can do this the quick way and have a mentality that I can get what I want. And I'm going to give you already so much and you take it from here. But life wasn't meant to be instant gratification, right? It wasn't, like you said, it was meant to be overcoming struggles, overcoming hurdles to grow. And as you've shared so many times, your mother would tell you, your victories are actually your failures, and your failures are actually your victories. We've got more to talk about as we kind of continue to dissect this. We're enjoying our conversation. We hope that you're glad that you're with us here today, and hope that it's also adding value to your life. We'll be back in just a minute on Stress Free Living. For those that have to leave, we get it. Thank you for sharing time with us. Thanks for those that are still with us. And now's your time to ask a question or give us a thought. We can work into the last few minutes of the show.
We have a new guest by the name Sarah.
Sarah is actually Rick's mom, or I'm sorry, Sandy's mom.
Oh, wow. Well, welcome.
Also have a new guest here. This is Suzanne.
Oh, hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Loving this.
We work together, so I asked her to join us today so we could learn together.
So
Nice.
she's going to wonder about you, what kind of companies you have. Two crazy people.
That's-
Well, we welcome you, Suzanne.
Thank you. It's very
Thanks for
interesting.
being with us. Hope to talk with you. Stick around with us at the end and share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear what you think. We're not sure what we think either. All right.
We
And,
have another guest by the name Karen.
Yeah,
Karen,
and
11.
there's a lot of relationships going on here today, which is fabulous. Karen is Sandy's wife.
Oh, wow.
And then we had, excuse me. There he is. He's been texting me. That's how I know who everybody is. Welcome, Sandy. Thanks for bringing the family. And Dr. Jake G. Sana's with us here yet? See, he did send us a chat that he had to leave.
Sahil was with us. Sahil, do you have any comment?
Sahil had to leave. He sent us a quick chat that he apologized. He had to go.
Oh,
So he was here earlier with us. This is Stress-Free Living. Ray Sandwich with you, Ratanjit Sandy, talking today about disagreements. And we started with that topic, but we really have evolved. If disagreements and our unwillingness to have disagreements that we can get beyond, they affect us. They cause relationships to end. We're threatened by anyone who disagrees with us, and we'd rather just not tolerate that relationship if there's a disagreement. That's a real situation that's happening in our world. It's caused us to talk about insecurities in general. Why are we insecure with our path of life? And Ratanjit, that has really opened the door to so many other thoughts that you have shared with us here today about our path, our knowledge of what security is, and our path to obtain that security. We only have a few minutes left. And interestingly, before we went on the air today, when you and I were talking, we were just talking about something that on the surface may be totally disconnected to this topic, but as I've assessed it, maybe it is kind of the key. And that is, we're looking for security all over. We're looking from education. We're looking to our parents to guide us. We're looking to the internet and the verification, validation of our thoughts. We're looking to our teachers. We're looking all over to have our own feelings validated and give us security. And yet we are each empowered within us to do anything, right? I mean, we have unlimited ability built right into us. We don't need all of these outside securities. We have total security within if we just tap into it.
you know, I was, before we started, I was giving you example of this musk. There's a deer who has this fragrance of musk in them. They're looking for that musk fragrance all over the place, although the musk is right within them. Similarly, we are looking for our security in money, in fame, in entitlement, in spouse, in home, in country, in everything. Whereas the true security lies within us. And that is what our divine souls who have come on this earth has been telling us. Jesus Christ, Gautam Buddha, or Lord Krishna, or Guru Nanak, or Muhammad, all these people were telling us the same thing. Find the security within you. What we did, instead of following what they were saying, following the message, we started worshiping the messenger. Imagine if you have a nasty disease and if you found an expert doctor and that doctor analyzed and finally gave you a medicine, but you were so impressed by this doctor and you started his picture being framed properly and giving flowers and worshiping the doctor, you will never get better until you take the medicine which is prescribed by this doctor. So stop worshiping the God outside of you. Find the divine power present within you. Basically, we have been telling this in earlier shows. Our insecurity comes from the fact that our human body, which knows it is going to die, it knows it needs food to survive, it has a separation identity, it considers itself to be separate, it has ego. So when your brain is directed by this human body, it is going to be insecure, greedy, and egotistic. But the reality of human being is this human body is only a vessel. And what empowers this vessel is the universal power. And the universal power present within this body does not die. It has no fear, no insecurity, no greed. It is only one power present in all of us. It is not separate. It has no ego. So when we habitually are guiding our brain through the human mindset, if we change our habit of guiding our brain by this universal power, we will be the most secure person present. And then realizing the universal power present within us, we'll also realize the same power present within everyone. So our purpose of life becomes very clear, is to serve that universal power and to have the enhanced capability. We become a professional student for life and constantly learn things to elevate our skills to serve. So basically, we vest ourselves in this human service, serving the universal power present within all of us.
Ratanjit, thank you for sharing those beautiful sentiments and so eloquently. It was beautiful. I have time for one question on it. Where does the entitlement fit into that? Why wouldn't that make us feel entitled? Because we know we have everything we need within us. We become totally secure in the fact that we are empowered to do amazing things. Why isn't there an entitlement that goes with that?
That power is present all around us, within us. We are in the ocean of that power. we don't own that power. We basically serve that power. Instead of becoming the boss, we become servant.
Okay. So that's where the gratefulness becomes so important in it too, to understand that we're getting that not because we deserve it, but because we've been given that power.
Yes.
That's an awesome distinction. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Ratanjit, thank you for sharing a very interesting show today and some wonderful thoughts. Thank you for sharing your love and wisdom with all of us. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Stress Free Living. We hope to talk to you again real soon. Have a great day. All right. If you need to leave, we understand. If you can stay with us a few minutes and share your thoughts, open your mics, and the show is yours.
So did it make any sense to everybody, or are we basically yapping away?
Let's welcome Sarah here for the first time. We're seeing her beautiful face too. Welcome, Sarah. If you want to unmute and give us your thoughts, love to hear from you. We're not hearing you yet. You need to turn your microphone on. If you can.
Unmute your.
Yeah. You need to turn your microphone on there. Unmute yourself if you can, Sarah. We're not hearing you.
I'll be
There
there
we go.
Wednesday and I can help her.
Yes. Yes. Hi.
No, she got it.
Now I got it.
Good, good. We wanted to
Thank
hear
you.
from you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. It's really, really nice to speak to you. And I've been hearing from you from a lot of times when Sandy's here. Yeah, it's really beautiful. The words that you use, the thoughts that you speak, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think he let me know what time it was, and it was good.
Yeah, you have any
Where
questions?
are you at, Sarah?
I'm sorry, I'm in Montreal.
Montreal. Okay.
Montreal, yeah.
Very
Sandy's
good.
coming on Wednesday, so I'm
Yeah.
trying. Yeah.
You just had
so-
your Thanksgiving, right? Was it
yes,
just Thanksgiving?
we just had last weekend was our Thanksgiving. Yes, that's right.
All right.
That's
Hope
right.
you had a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Same to you. I think yours will be coming in
Thank you.
November.
Coming up, yeah, a few weeks away.
Yeah.
Secret of
Yeah.
life lies in making every moment as a Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
We
You should
we
have the Thanksgiving every day, actually.
every moment of life. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank
the
you for
Lord.
being with us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share a thought?
Rekha, did we answer your question or no?
Yeah, you did. I was thinking about it, and then you said after when you answered the question that, the biggest problem is that we don't, as parents, let our kids struggle, right? And I see how it's like almost this like battle in a mom or a dad. When you see, the minute you see your kid struggling, you want to find a solution for them, right? It's like almost part of it feels like human instinct, right? When we're in our humanhood, we want to solve problems for people we love. And, I've been like, thinking about that myself for my own kids. Like, it's so hard. Like, the minute I see one of them struggling, right, I want to jump in and try to find a solution. And it's funny you mentioned that, because just recently, like, I realized, I'm like, well, why do I have to jump in and find a solution, right? This struggle, like you said, is part of life. And, rather than trying to fix it, like, let him sit in the struggle and it will only result in growth. But it's hard as a mother, right? Or a father. It's hard to sit and see somebody you love struggle. But I think from our last week's call, right, where we were talking about, it's funny, right after our call, I read this chapter in a book I'm reading, and it was saying the same thing that you discussed last week about when you're in your humanhood, then struggle is struggle, right? It's difficult to deal with struggle when you're in the humanhood. However, when you're in like operating from the universal power, then you're not actually struggling, right? So what I've been trying to do with the kids, or at least, and I'm not there yet, but is that when they are struggling, right, rather than running in my humanhood to solve the problem that they're having in their humanhood, if I could just step back, and they might not be able to see their divinehood yet, right? Or because maybe they're just not, and I'm probably not even able to see my own at the moment. But if I can energetically just see that they're not in their humanhood, and that they're also, like, in ultimately the divine and part of this universal power, then hopefully, I don't know, and this is a question, but hopefully their struggle won't really be a struggle, because energetically, I'm like, if I'm able to see that they're the universal power, hopefully with time, they'll feel that, and they'll be able to see that they're the universal power, and whatever struggle they're going through won't really feel like a struggle, because they won't almost they won't experience it, because they're not part of the humanhood. So I don't know. That's something I've been trying myself in the last few weeks, to be determined if it's working or not. But I was able to kind of connect that when you were talking about letting your kids struggle, and, being comfortable with that. It's hard, but I think if you know that that's just their humanhood, and you can help them connect to their divineship, then you're probably doing an even bigger service to them than trying to fix the problem in the humanhood.
Yeah. If you empower them to be their decision maker, and ask them question, how would we solve this problem? Rather than giving them the solution, their mind would be starting to work in finding the solution, rather than asking you, okay, what do I do? So this is, you're giving them the habit of thinking, finding the solution.
You know what we have found, my wife and I have found, that even more difficult of seeing them go through struggles is when you see them make the wrong decision. And that's the ultimate test. That's the ultimate time when because you're trying to guide them, but you're not trying to force them to see things the way you do. You hope they will do it, but many times they choose what ends up being a bad decision for them. And yet you still have to stand by. And, our philosophy has always been that you always love them, no matter what. You always tell them, I love you, whatever choice you make, I love you. And if you've made the bad choice, I still love you. I still care about you. But I think those are the ultimate growth moments. Those are the time when they really realize, what life is, and puts them back on the right path of understanding our divineship, to use your word on that.
Yeah, when they make the wrong decision, the best thing, instead of stopping them completely, you walk through the consequences. They still think, okay, we are going to do this. When they face those consequences which you alarmed them of, they will know that you are right. Instead of preventing them, make them aware of the consequences.
Now you tell me, Ratanjit. Where were you 10 years ago on that one? All right. For those of you that have youngsters yet, you can implement that. That's really good.
I have to give you information in smaller sections so that you will still keep me as a co-host.
Oh, is that what it is? Now I can do it with my grandchildren instead of my children.
Yeah.
Sandy, anything that you'd like to add today? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the show started off with disagreements, what is threatening. And, I see that a lot now more than ever. I think in the past we would disagree and it'd be okay, but there is a very strong human sort of way that we feel that we're threatened And it definitely, I think, Ratanjit uncle said it really well, is that it comes from the insecurity. And that security, again, is not coming from our divine power. That's coming from our ego consciousness. And we quickly identify with it. And it's very important that we're reminded that it's not what defines us. And the joy of disagreements, really, I'm learning more and more, is that it's a process of actually learning something new, and somebody else's opinion doesn't mean you have to agree. And it's part of our growth cycle to actually welcome as many disagreements. So we learn many other points of views that come from many different types of thoughts. And as long as we're not insecure, or at least we know that we come from a secure space, then you can actually open up to even more disagreements, meaning listening to other views. So when we look at things like, elections coming up, there's a lot of disagreements. There's wars going on in this world. There's a lot of disagreements, but the joy comes from the learning and remembering that, we are complete as much as we can be right now, regardless of our thoughts that tell us that or the way our thoughts make us feel insecure because somebody is disagreeing. So I think he captured that very well. That as soon as you're having a disagreement, we need to question ourselves: are we feeling insecure? And are we complete without this disagreement? There's always going to be a disagreement. 10 people in a room, 10 disagreements on a topic. So thank you for reminding us of our nature to run to our insecurities.
Yeah, fundamentally, you are going to meet new people and new other people, and you cannot transplant your thinking in them. So the only control you have is on your emotion, yourself. So when you are calm and loving and caring, and you are confronting that environment of disagreement with that mindset, the others eventually have higher respect for you. And sooner or later, you will be in a position to change their mind or convey your point of view. They'll be more inclined to listen to you because they have gained respect for you. So you have to have emotional deposits with other people for them to accept what you are saying.
But before you can even do that, Ratanjit, don't you think that we have to stop feeling threatened ourselves? Because if we're threatened at the beginning, right, you'll never get there.
You're threatening, which is conveyed to other.
Yeah.
It's psychologically, they know that if you are afraid, the person who bullies you is more inclined to bully you.
Right.
You show confidence and calmness, other person cannot go on. Your calmness and your complete confidence comes from operating in the universal power mode.
Sana, we haven't heard from you today. Anything?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ray.
Hi.
Hi. My apologies for abstaining from a couple of sessions because we had guests from the other part of the world, so was busy attending to them. Nevertheless, today's session again was very enriching, and how we can contribute as an individual. Everyone has to ask within themselves that how can I conduct myself to the best of the abilities so that I can add value, irrespective whether I'm a parent or a friend or a child or even in an organization. How can I do my best to contribute without expecting what the others, whether they will acknowledge, they will not acknowledge, how better can I offer with all the kindness? This is a great takeaway from this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you for being back with us today.
Thank you.
You know, there's one point I want to make.
Mhm.
Our children, we consider as ours.
Yes.
Once we know that the only way the human being are sent on this earth is through other human beings as a parent. So we have a new guest arrive on this earth, and we are confronted with the responsibility of nurturing that human being. That human
Beautiful.
being is not ours.
Beautiful. The sense of ownership.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful point, sir. Thank you.
All right. We haven't heard from Karen or Dr. Jagjit. Anything that you'd like to share?
Well, everything was fine. A few points which I feel we should, Ray, this is for you, that we should have a topic on the evolution of influencers. The earlier influencers were the parents, and that was the first thing which we had. Then we had the teachers, and as we have grown up and the technology and other things, there have been influences outside the body. And just to tell, just the examples which Ratanjit Singh gave, the influencers in a small city, in a small state like Punjab, we have religious gurus which are about 25,000 and the villages are only 13,000. In 13,000 villages, we have about 22,000 babas, which we call them, or influencers. They are the influencers because they have local influence and they influence the voting pattern and other things and political powers and other things and that. And now the things have changed to Facebook and Google and other things, WhatsApp. Just to give you a few data, last year when Indian elections were held, the BJP government gave almost spent about 1,000 crores. I think it works out to be something like 10 billion rupees just on Facebook and Google and other things to influence the voters. So see how much amount it is going into the money for influencing and getting power. The second point which he said about how the influences are, I will narrate a because I have been working with all these so-called astrologers and other people who have been working as influencers. Just we had in my city a great influencer who will tell whether you will have a baby boy or a baby girl. And anybody who used to come and ask him, he told me the real story because I was working along with them because preparing computer horoscopes and other things. They used to come to me. So he told that whenever anybody comes, I give him that, okay, you will have a baby boy. But in the register, I used to write it baby girl. And if the baby boy is there, he will bring 10 more clients to me. And if it is a baby girl and he will come and complain, I will tell him, you heard it wrong. I wrote it, I will see that in my register, it is a baby girl. I wrote it that way. So I'm correct. So that is how the things are manipulated and he's always fine. So that is another thing which this is going on all the worldwide. Well, I fully agree with the Ratanjit saying that we have to be adding, as Sana has also told, adding value to life and value to everything. But how far we can go and how influence we can have. There's the ownership talk, which talks in our Guru Granth Sahib, it is written that the mother cannot produce a milk without a baby. So it is not the mother's milk, it is the baby's ownership on milk. It is the other way around. Mother cannot say, I have given you my milk. Because that's a very big concept that mother cannot produce without a baby. So the baby is bringing the milk because of the nature of the Lord or the divine thing which is coming into picture. Baby is bringing the food. The food is coming first and baby is coming later. Always, even in our life, if I am drinking tea, the tea has come already in my kitchen before I came. Or any cookie which has come, I am eating, or any food which we are cooking, the food has always come first. We come always later. In a restaurant, your food is always first. We come later. So food reaches first. That is the divine cycle which is there. We should have some talk on that also, I think, maybe at another time. So these are some of my thoughts of today's talk. Thank you very much for giving me time.
Well, thank you. Very, a lot of wisdom in there. Thank you.